उपस्थित असलेल्या सर्व मान्यवरांचे मी हार्दिक स्वागत करतो. आमच्या या महाविद्यालयाने आयोजित केलेल्या या आंतरराष्ट्रीय परिषदेस अमेरिका, स्पेन आणि
हो 10 वाजता आहे साहेब. गुड मॉर्निंग साहेब. मी करतो साहेब, म्हणजे जॉईन पार्टिसिपंट झाले की फोन करतो. येस सर, येस सर, थँक्यू सो मच सर. हो
सर, क्लिअर होता का आता व्हिडिओ?
हो हो सर, हो सर, थँक्यू.
क्लिअर होता ना?
सर क्लिअर आहे.
क्लिअर आहे ना? नेक्स्ट स्लाइड.
नाही, सावंत साहेबांशी बोलत होतो मी.
ओके ओके.
10 वाजता ते शार्प जॉईन होणार आहे.
माले सर, क्लिअर होता का?
क्लिअर आहे, क्लिअर आहे सर.
हो सर,
एकदा हे प्ले करून पहा दिस वन.
ओके.
देयर इज नो साऊंड. साऊंड नाहीये सर याला.
नाही, आता
येतोय.
ओके.
ओके ना?
येस सर, येस सर.
ओके.
नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. ओके, सेशन. सर, एक स्लाइड मिसिंग आहे का?
कोणती?
सावंत साहेबांची बनवलेली.
नाही, सावंत साहेबांची म्हणजे हेच ना सर, पहिली स्लाइड आहे का? पीपीटी होतं ना, की नोट स्पीच म्हणून.
तर नाही ना, आता नाही.
इनॉग्रेशन आहे. त्याच्या पुढे चला. याच्याही पुढे चला.
याच्या पुढे.
याच्या पुढे असायला पाहिजे.
याच्या पुढे सेशन पद्धत आहे.
सर, इंगुले सर, काल होती ना
सर? पहिली स्लाइड मध्ये सावंत सरांचं नाव आहे. एक पहिली स्लाइड इनॉग्रेशनची. सावंत सरांची सेपरेट स्लाइड नाहीये.
ओके, इट्स ओके. मग सावंत सर बोलताना मग पहिल्या स्लाइड वर जायचं आहे.
सर बोलताना पहिल्या स्लाइड वर जायचं, किंवा ते स्क्रीन शेअर करणार ना, त्यांची पीपीटी असेल तर. बोलताना त्यांचा स्पीकर
नाही सरांची,
त्यांचा स्पीकर व्यू दिसणार आहे. तेच दिसणार सगळ्यांना.
ओके ओके.
त्यावेळी स्लाइडची गरज नसते.
ओके,
येस सर, येस सर, येस सर, अंडरस्टूड.
काल होती म्हणून म्हटलं, आज नाही.
नाही, कालही नव्हती ती सर. आपण एक काम डिलीट म्हणजे कमी केलं याच्यात.
फर्स्ट सेशन.
सर, आवाज कमी जास्त बरोबर येतो का माझा?
हो, येतोय बरोबर आहे.
म्हणजे ब्रेक नाही होत ना?
नाही, अजिबात नाही.
ओके ओके. नाहीतर कमी करता येत, कम्प्युटरचाच आवाज कमी करेल मग.
सेशन सेकंड. सेशन थर्ड. सेशन 4. सेशन 5.
ओके सर,
बरोबर आहे सर्व. आता काय अडचण नाही.
राईट. 21 जण दिसतात फक्त सर, आपणच आहोत ते. आपल्या कॉलेजचे प्राध्यापक पण जॉईन होतील ना, इतर दोज हू आर नॉट द मेंबर्स ऑफ द कमिटी.
हा बोला सर. हा आता कोणती पहिलीच ना. हा चालेल.
कुठे सर या साईडला.
मॅडम गुड मॉर्निंग.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर.
हॅलो. बरं बरं. हां ओके.
What is this black patch, sir, on the screen?
Hide that video panel.
Okay.
Floating video panel.
And
One more black stick is there.
yes, sir. That's good.
Now clear.
Yeah, yes. Mali sir, we have to confirm the dignitaries of this session
Yes, sir.
are joined with us. Sir. Hello. हो 10 वाजता शार्प होणार होते. फोन केलो मी आता. Yes. Sir is ready. Yes. we have to confirm the joining of the keynote speaker and the principal, and then all the members of the organizing committee, those who have the responsibility in this session.
Good morning. I'm trying my laptop.
Very good morning, sir.
Very good morning. I'm
And
trying my laptop also.
Yes, sir.
Till then I shall be on the mobile, but I'm sure yesterday I used it. I don't know what is wrong today. But I keep mobile also standby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Ingule, sir.
Yes, sir.
Shall we start now? Or wait for 5 minutes for the participant to be joined?
We're waiting for 2 minutes only.
Oh, yes, yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Answer, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let's start.
Just a minute. Yeah. Is ma'am there? Dr. Chetnapan, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good
Thank
morning.
you. Yes. Good morning. A very good morning, one and all. Honorable dignitaries who have joined with this international conference virtually. The president of the institution, Sanjeevan Gramin Vaidyakiya Samajik Sahayata Pratishthan, Onde, and the inaugurator of this conference, Honorable Vijay Patil Sahib, who has started this higher education institution in this tribal area of Bargar district. Honorable Legislative Assembly Member, Sri Sunilji Busara Sahib. And we have an honor to have the keynote speaker, former Pro Vice Chancellor of University of Mumbai, Vice Chancellor of former Vice Chancellor of University of Rajasthan, Jaipur, and the eminent scientist, Honorable Dr. A.D. Sawant, sir. Honorable all the resource persons who are distinguished and celebrated scientists in their respective fields. Honorable chairpersons of different sessions, Honorable Dr. Chetna Patil Madam, the principal of our college. Honorable all the members of our advisory committee and the organizing committee, Honorable the convener of this conference, Professor Ingolesa, and organizing secretary of this conference, Professor Mahale sir. I, from my heart of hearts, on behalf of the institution and college, welcome you all to the to this conference, Interdisciplinary Internationally Conference on Trends in Humanities, Social Sciences, and Commerce, organized by IQAC of our college, that is Arts, Commerce, Science College, Onde, Taluka Vikramgarh, District Palghar. It is our duty and privilege to welcome you all on this platform. So may I request the principal of our college, Honorable Dr. Chetna Patil Madam, and who is also a director of institution of the institution, that is Sanjeevan Gramin Vaidyakiya Samajik Sahayata Pratishthan. Now may I request Dr. Chetna Patil Madam to deliver the welcome speech on this occasion. Over to Dr. Chetna Patil Madam.
Thank you,
not
sir.
audible.
Thank you, sir.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. A very phonetic morning to one and all. Today, on the occasion of International E-Conference on Recent Trends in Humanities, Social Sciences, and Commerce, it gives an immense pleasure to welcome the President of our institution, Sanjeevan Gramin Vaidyakiya and Samajik Sahayata Pratishthan, Honorable Shri Viji Patil sir, who always inspires us to take such a type of initiative. Member of Vikramgarh Legislative Assembly, Honorable Shri
Hello.
Sunilji. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Hello. I think we are not audible to.
I said you are not audible.
Yes, sir. You are audible to us, sir.
Yes, try now.
Hello. Hello. Male sir, you see, please.
Hello.
Bansuri sir, am I audible?
I don't know.
You are
At
audible,
least
ma'am. Just a minute.
for me, you are not audible.
There may be, sir.
Sir has joined with mobile or laptop.
Mobile, sir. What would be the problem?
Join with audio. Please join with audio.
Sir,
Call
sir,
to
click on audio.
you have to call Bansuri sir,
Yes, yes, sir. 1 minute, sir.
because they are not audible. You have to call 87 sir.
Yes, sir. I will see. I will see. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That would be better, sir. Ikam, sir.
Yes,
Sir. Sir is.
Hello.
Yes,
yes.
sir.
Hear me now?
Hello. You are
Yes,
audible,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, good.
Are
Go
we
ahead.
audible to you, sir?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Yes, over to Dr. Chetna Patil, ma'am, for the welcome speech.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, ma'am.
A very phonetic morning to one and all. Today, on the occasion of International E-Conference on Recent Trends in Humanities, Social Sciences, and Commerce, it gives an immense pleasure to welcome the President of our institution, Sanjeevan Gramin Vaidyakiya and Samajik Sahayata Pratishthan Sanchalit, Honorable Shri VG Patil Sir, Member of Vikramgarh Legislative Assembly, Honorable Shri Sunilji Busara Sir, our keynote speaker, Honorable A.D. Samant Sir, and all the distinguished resource person, chairperson of the sessions from overseas and India, and also all the dear participants to much awaited interdisciplinary international e-conference. It gives me immense pleasure to be standing in front of you all, that is among the most esteemed dynamic personality in the respective fields. It's my duty to give information about our institution, that is Sanjeevan Gramin Vaidyakiya and Samajik Pratishthan Sanchalit, is working since the year 1994. As the name itself says, Samajik Sahayata, we conduct social programs for the local populace like Shetkari Melawa, for the farmers, medical camps for senior citizens in this tribal area of Vikramgarh Tehsil. We established Arts, Commerce and Science College in this tribal area of Palghar district. It has been playing an instrumental role in disseminating higher education. We started our college since 2002 with UG program, and now we have established post-graduation in chemistry. Those who cannot conduct regular classes, we have Yashwantrao Chauhan Mukta Vidyapit Open Studies Center for them. We have started the college only with 65 students, and now we have about 800 students, in which 95% of students are from scheduled tribe. Ever since the establishment of the college, it has been playing an instrumental role for upbringing the tribal people of this area. The mainstream of higher education. As a result of it, thousands of our students are graduated, post-graduated, some have cleared NET, SET, and various other students are in public as well as private sector. What a journey it has been through, each year having its own triumphs and struggles, and yet unique it in many ways. Our focus is to develop social and educational reformation of tribal populations in this extreme remote and inaccessible area of Vikramgarh of Palghar district in Maharashtra. Coming back to today's conference, we have organized many webinars, national and international conferences on various themes so far. The main outcome of this conference is to come up with the national and international framework for the education system in the future. We tend to have a platform for the exchange of ideas and views on recent trends in humanities, sciences, social sciences, and commerce under one roof. Before we start, I would like to express my gratitude towards all of them taking time out for their schedule and gracing this occasion. Also towards those who sincerely contribute to this event in order to make it success. This wouldn't have been possible without the support of each and everyone present here. Before I conclude, I would like to say a quote by Henry Ford, which is very essential for a teamwork. Coming together is a beginning, keeping together is a progress, and working together is a success. Thank you and welcome all of them. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for a wonderful introduction of the welcome speech, and you have highlighted on the role of the institution has been playing since 2002 in this tribal area of Palghar district. Now, may I request the convener of this conference, respected Professor Ingole sir. Professor Ingole sir will highlight the aims and objectives of this conference. Over to Professor Ingole sir.
Good morning to one and all. I welcome all the dignitaries, Honorable Sri VG Patil Sahib, the President of the institution, Honorable MLA Sri Sunil Bosara Sahib, the keynote speaker of this conference, Honorable Dr. A.D. Sawant Sahib, the principal of the college, Dr. Chetna Patil Madam, all respected the resource persons and dear participants who have joined with us virtually from abroad and within India to a two-day interdisciplinary international e-conference on recent trends in humanities, social sciences, and commerces organized by IKC of our college. Dear participants, this is our second interdisciplinary international conference. An interdisciplinary approach involves researchers from different disciplines working collaboratively with a common purpose to set goals, make decisions, and share resources and responsibilities. Today, we see that many trends emerged and are emerging in various disciplines such as humanities, social sciences, and commerces, and so on in the present era. And therefore, we have organized this conference to have a platform for sharing the views, opinions, and expertise about these trends through the experts and participants in various disciplines. The conference aims to bring together the leading academicians, scientists, researchers, and research scholars to exchange and share their experience and cutting-edge research results over all aspects of recent trends towards sustainable development. The conference aims to convey the experts from various domains to enhance the knowledge about innovative technologies and present new research findings to promote global, scientific, and community collaborations in synergy with other professional associations. The conference themes are related to diverse aspects of scientific research of advanced and functional materials, tools and methods in science, new perspective in humanities, social sciences, and commerce. This conference will include keynote address, plenary sessions from eminent scientists across the world, including India, and paper presentation by delegates. We believe that this platform will enrich the knowledge of delegates and encourage research in recent trends and open new avenues in various disciplines. With this prime objective, we have invited well-known research persons from UK, Spain, and universities and colleges. The research persons are Dr. Aniket Mahapuri, Senior Scientist from UK, Dr. Mahesh Narlekar from Waltham, Dr. Dhananjay Gopal, Department of Mathematics, GGU, Central University, Bilaspur, India, Professor Vikas Patil, Professor, Department of Physics, Solapur University, Solapur, Dr. Sarada Mohapatra, Department of Botany, Jaipur, Odisha, Dr. Jagdish Patil, Department of English, Faizpur, Jalgaon, Dr. Santosh Kadam, Department of Economics, Solapur University, Solapur. I am thankful to all the resource persons from abroad and different universities for accepting our invitations and all researchers for your overwhelming response for the conference. More than 150 participants registered for this conference and more than 60 research papers we have received. We are proud to announce that we are going to publish edited book with ISBN number. As the convener of the conference, I extend my special thanks to the management and the principal for granting permission and unconditional support for the conference. I also thank all the members of organizing committee for their efforts. Thank you once again. Over to Dr. Bansode, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, we have as the chief guest, the president of our institution, Honorable Sri Vijay Patil Sahib. May I call upon him to deliver his inaugural speech over here.
संजीवन ग्रामीण वैद्यकीय व सामाजिक सहायता प्रतिष्ठान औंधे तालुका विक्रमगड जिल्हा पालघर च्या कला वाणिज्य विज्ञान महाविद्यालय औंधे जिल्हा पालघर आयोजित 2 दिवसीय आंतरराष्ट्रीय परिषदेस उपस्थित असलेल्या सर्व मान्यवरांचे मी हार्दिक स्वागत करतो. आमच्या या महाविद्यालयाने आयोजित संजीवन ग्रामीण वैद्यकीय व सामाजिक सहायता प्रतिष्ठान औंधे तालुका विक्रमगड जिल्हा पालघर च्या कला वाणिज्य विज्ञान महाविद्यालय औंधे जिल्हा पालघर आयोजित 2 दिवसीय आंतरराष्ट्रीय परिषदेस उपस्थित असलेल्या सर्व मान्यवरांचे मी हार्दिक स्वागत करतो. आमच्या या महाविद्यालयाने आयोजित केलेल्या या आंतरराष्ट्रीय परिषदेस अमेरिका, स्पेन आणि युनायटेड किंगडम या देशांतून सहभागी होत असलेल्या विद्वान संशोधकांचे मी आभार मानतो. आज जगात विविध प्रकारचे प्रश्न निर्माण होत आहेत. जागतिक पातळीवर संशोधनाचे नवे क्षेत्र तसेच आपल्या देशातील सामाजिक, राजकीय आणि सांस्कृतिक आणि वैज्ञानिक परिस्थितीवर या परिषदेत चर्चा होईल आणि नवा दृष्टिकोन विकसित होईल असे मला वाटते. या परिषदेस माझ्याकडून व कला वाणिज्य विज्ञान महाविद्यालयाकडून हार्दिक शुभेच्छा.
Thank you so much, Saib, for inaugurating this conference over here. Now,
Damani sir, next slide, please. Yes.
thank you so much. After this, we have the keynote speech by the eminent scientist, Honorable Dr. A.D. Sawant sir. Before his speech, I would like to introduce him. It gives me an immense pleasure to introduce such a excellent personality like Dr. A.D. Sawant sir. Sir has started his career journey from the as a lecturer and rose to professor of Institute of Science, Institute of Chemistry, professor of chemistry in Institute of Science, University of Mumbai. Sir has completed his MSc and PhD from the Institute of Science and University of Mumbai. He started his journey, as I told, as a lecturer, and he established a strong social research in the fields of nuclear, inorganic, analytical, solid state, environmental chemistry in his career. He contributed invited article to the Encyclopedia of Analytical Science, published by Cambridge University. His outstanding and landmark work is that he worked on lead poisoning in India. As a result of his work, we get lead-free petrol in India today. This is his outstanding and landmark work in his career. Sir has also outstanding contribution to the framing government policies for professional courses and fee structures of the government. Most importantly, he worked as the joint director of Mumbai region, Mumbai, in his career. And he has worked also the Pro-Vice Chancellor of University of Mumbai. And he worked as the Vice Chancellor of Rajasthan University, Jaipur. Presently, sir is working as the President of Director of Waste Energy Research Technology Council. He is the President of SOCLIN, and he is the Chief Trustee of the Institute of Science Golden Jubilee Trust Fund. He is the Vice President of Global Project 110. He is advisor to many institutions and the member of authorities of many universities in our country. And Sir has also been awarded with many awards and medals by different organizations in his career. Such a dynamic personality we have as the chief keynote speaker on this occasion. So may I request Honorable Dr. E.D. Sawant sir for the keynote speech on this occasion. Over to Dr. Sawant sir.
Thank you, Professor Bansode.
Thank you, sir.
All dignitaries and delegates who have joined this conference, and the organizers, the chairman, principal, and staff and students of this institution. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are absolutely audible.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You
Yes,
are audible.
sir.
You are audible, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
you are
sir.
audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So the link from laptop is on and off. So I have the mobile standby in my hand. So if I'm audible, no issue. At the outset, I congratulate the organizers, the management for taking this initiative of organizing international conference and getting good number of resource persons and the delegates. Friends, the place where you have been linked on online for this conference, let me give an idea. It's one of the, I would say, very well known, and I should not say well known, very well known in terms of the underdeveloped or undeveloped area of the then Thane district. Most of the population, majority, is tribal among the SC, ST, but STs are more, as been mentioned by the principal. And having an educational institution in that area was the most difficult issue. So why I'm telling you this, all the resource persons and the participants should focus the objective of this conference of issues of higher education, its relevance in terms of humanities, social sciences, and commerce. And so I decided not to have PowerPoint presentations in the core area, but I would like to talk extempore in this small time of 1 hour inauguration plus keynote address. And my utmost request to the students and teachers of this institution to attend this entire conference, every lecture.
Yes,
It's
sir. Yes, sir.
online,
Definitely,
so it's
sir.
very easy for everybody, and kindly pick up the issues, because this conference is not, I would say, for the scholars in real terms, because issues are plenty. They are cross-border specializations. But for a students, every subject is important. Humanities, social sciences, and commerce. So you have to take best of this every speaker and look into this. When I was a joint director, my vision was for the development of the university, which I accelerated when I went to Rajasthan as a vice chancellor. The objective of establishment of this college, I think it is getting fulfilled to some extent with the almost 1,000 enrollment. But I'm still not happy with the providing access to the higher educations to tribal students. Something more has to be done into this. The intentions of this and getting into many projects into the university for access to higher education of this tribal area where I belong to. So my concern in promoting this institution, which probably the chairman and the principal has forgotten, but it's to provide access. And I implemented many schemes to the institutions there, including payment of the fees of the Adivasi students in a tribal area and catch them young, like, when they are in 11th, 12th, because I know social science and social engineering of this area, wherein I still find many students are not able to go to the college, Zawar, Mokhada and Talasari, because there are no residential facilities. Not a frequency of the travel like you have the locals and the trains in the urban area. They'll have one bus in the morning, one bus in the evening, so the access is difficult. And I could find good students. I talked to them last year that they are not in the college either in Vikramgarh or Wada or a Palghar, because there are no residential facilities, very few of them, and they can be afforded. Honorable Busara ji is here, or our Honorable MLA. He must look into providing residential facilities to students of higher learning who wants to go to college education after 12. And his great responsibility is an excellent MLA, having a lot of concern with the people around there, and he belongs to those community, to work out and provide these facilities for them. And that's real social science and engineering that he has to do. And therefore, this conference has to deal with the issues. See, all of you, even the delegates, I must tell you, why do we strive on the higher education? Is not the learning enough for the literacy is not good enough for one to live with? But you see, higher education brings the transformations, I'm in the city of Mumbai, and having got my own and society and family welfare is only through higher education. No professional activities in this tribal area can make them to live a sustainable and good life, But then to have that, it is very important to have the education, social engineering, and importance of higher education, which the UGC and the university have been advocating all the time. Unfortunately, we are tuning to the degree education, getting degrees, and then you find at the end of getting degrees, you are not employable. And so the issues come, vocational education, skill development. But who says there are no vocational education, skill development within the institution itself? Be it arts, science, commerce, liberal arts, or humanities, social sciences course, there are enough elements, enough number of elements that you can be the entrepreneur. You can create your own employment. You can establish an NGO and serve others. So this site has remained lopsided in higher education, and then we search on new policies, new education policies. It's not that the policies which have been adopted from decades, they are not brought welfare to the society and the country. You have enough number of engineers, technocrats, and everyone. What remains is that the outreach of these developments done is not reaching to the people who need it. And so the mass education and institutions like this, they have to play the pivotal role in reach out, extension of these educations to the deprived one. For example, the higher education that if you look for this area, it has to look into social issues, unemployment, health and environment. You'll find that all the wells and borewells and the rivers across the Vaitana will go dry in the month of May. What makes a water conservation issues to make it sustainable water supply? Is the forest, the plantations, contouring, check dams. We have so many rivulets, and human power, the students, they can do wonders. They should get into these actions to the water conservation, to have the minimum quantity of water available for drinking, and that for the agriculture and animals now. And if at all it is there, it's you who are BScs and MScs and chemistry. We have to tell what is the potability of water. It is not finding COD, BOD, but if you don't tell them, it can have the toxic metals, it can minerals, it can have leachate of the very solid waste that you have been dumping around the river and the village and your borewell. It can percolate and contaminate the potable water. So potability of water, if the students as an outreach program tell their brothers and sisters and you can say brethren or the village people, communicating to that, the minimum requirement of a good health, the food safe village, it has become an issue. All those biological science and chemistry people, you know, what are the impact of the pesticides? Unfortunately, climate change has gone so bad. And unless you have the pesticides, our farmers in that area have seen they do not get the crop. It may be vegetables, watermelons, fruits, or even the flowers. And when you spray so much of the pesticides, we the chemist, we are how much worried you do not know the teratogens and carcinogenic compounds into those systemic and contact poisons. That apart, but at least a minimum knowledge the science students can impart to the farmer. Do not harvest the crop once you have sprayed the pesticides. Please wait for 2 or 3 days, a shelf life, so that some kind of decomposition in the pesticides and poisons have happened. Otherwise, those pesticides, the active molecules, can cause a lot of harm to the body, and they can result into a lot of damage to your entire life. So this is that science. In every graduate, you don't have to be science or chemistry graduate to tell about the potability of water. COD and BOD comes the other issues, you know. I'm not going to that. Hygienic living. Today, if you say all the chulas and smoke, these huts and houses are full of smoke. And that of the wood they burn. The government has given many schemes, and now there are cylinder fuels, but still those who can't afford to it have not yet got access. They have been still burning the firewood. And the carbon of the firewood producing carbon monoxide for not having smokeless chula, that will completely make the woman fall sick. The lady of the house who is cooking the food for you will be certainly inhaling a lot of carbon monoxide. And if she doesn't inhale the oxygen, she will have blue veins on the animals and her hands and all the veins of blood supply, indicating that she is the carbon monoxide poison. It means she is not able to transport the oxygen. It means she will have fragile health, and it means she will be falling sick after a few years without knowing what could be the exact cause of it, you know. Friends, let me tell you, the very close area of this place, there was an industry which was spewing the poison called lead, L-E-A-D, lead. And chemistry, it's a PB. Lead means lead pipes we're using for a supply of water, which has been stopped. Lead means the one which we're using as a lead in the petrol, as an anti-knocking agent, which has been phased out after our struggle of a lead-free India, for which we had to contribute a lot to get that policy. But let me tell you, very close to that, about 50 kilometers away at Dadra Nagar Haveli border, And there was an industry and people are almost poisoned, 400, 500 cattle head had perished. They died. But no chemist, no health officer, no educated person could identify or show the concern that why the cattle heads are dying. Because they were ingesting lot of lead spewed on the grazing lands, spewed by the industry, which was processing objectionable material like waste batteries and the tin cans, aluminum cans. Where the science is gone, where the awareness is gone. If you do not have that today, you'll find in interiors, so many industries, foundries, they are spewing the poison in the villages. And villages, for want of some kind of getting hands greased, they would give license to these industries no matter what the public health it will be. Now, where is your higher education? Social science, social engineering, NSS, and value education. This is all remaining on paper, and nobody will take up the issue like we took up to get the industry closed, Hindustan Alloy Manufacturing, But not that voluntarism is not seen now. That concern is not seen now. And so, the industry is doing a lot of metal poisoning around your drinking water. You are just quiet. The other example I shall give you, the solid waste management. We just talk of plastic-free India, plastic-free village, plastic-free house. I shall be happy if you do not use plastic bottles for drinking water. Do not give to the guests water in the plastic bottle. Do not bring the plastic bags from the market, which is very easy access. Government has failed all its efforts and see that the plastic is not phased out. Other things are different. I'm not talking of the phasing of the CFCs, chlorofluorocarbon, Even that is not happening in this country, but at least the plastic which is giving now microplastic into the food chain and that of drinking water. You do not know the education for what then? If you can cut short, your life gets cut short for half an hour, for a decade, 10 years, 5 years, 15 years. You see the woman which is putting the kumkum on her forehead, if it is full of the lead chromate, which is normally, she absorbs 5-10 milligram of the lead every day. And during all her saubhagya, she will have a lot of lead accumulated and she will start complaining, getting complaints of her health at the age of 35, 40, 50, 60. And one doesn't know that if she is set into the cancer and carcinogenic, the lead is, it makes you anemic, doesn't allow the blood to be synthesized. So friend, this is an issue. We just talk of composting or age-old practices of composting of the waste were very good. And we used to get a good bit of the compost, which was used for as a fertilizers. In agriculture, we did not know synthetic fertilizers then. We did not know the artificially manufactured fertilizers. And that carbon is now lost. It is lost along with the forest. It's lost along with getting a lot of the obnoxious material, including plastic. And the government talks of solid waste management. Recycle, reuse, and reduce. I do not know what practices your colleges, institutions are. And if every institutions and college in this country does not talk about the solid waste management, municipal solid waste management, then no point in talking about the climate change. Then no point in talking about water conservations, Now, if the carbon is lost, if you do not put carbon back into the soil, just harvest it and throw it or burn it out, 1% loss of carbon in the soil will reduce 6% water retention capacity. That's why your fields are going dry. You don't realize that. Where the water is gone. There's nothing to hold the water, the moisture. Then soil lattices, solid state chemists will understand. will fail to hold the water. And if there is no water, there will be no microbes. If surface soil has lost the water, microbes are lost. And thousands and hundreds of species, I would say at least, get on extinction. They get extinct and the ecology is lost. Friends, the higher education is for this. If I am handling copper vessel, I should know copper is also toxic. If I am handling the chromium metal, I should know it is a carcinogenic. If I'm using a thermometer in my hospitals, I'm a doctor, I have to see that the broken thermometer, the mercury is wiped out and disposed of, and it does not go into the air so that you get the volatile mercury in your lungs and you start setting on the poison. So many metals, we talk toxic metals, heavy metals there, but they are day-to-day life. What precautions you take while working with the metals? What message you carry to your village and the people that how toxic is the mercury or chromium or cadmium? But you'll find so many people have kidney failures. The main reason kidney failure is the cadmium. So many people loss of memories and meningitis. The main reason is getting excess of manganese in our body. So friends, the education that we all work to set out the institutions in interior, their pivotal role is not to only give degree to the education students for their employment, and even if after employment, how to use this science and education. I focus more on the environment, health, and issues and toxicities. But at the same time, I must tell the farmers how the productivity can increase the input and output ratio of his manpower and people and the field, the production and productivity. If the equation is set to the villagers, how can they save? How can they have viable farming and crop cultivation? I'm sure the crops will be more profitable. This job can be done by the commerce students, So for everybody, there is an issue. Students in liberal arts and languages, they can impart the good culture and quality educations and the awareness program they can implement, So friends, I shall be happy if this conference deals with the issues like this. It's a good in a sense that diversity of subjects are there, inclusive of all humanities, social sciences, science and commerce, But social sciences alone is not enough. Who shall do the social engineering with all these subjects? How can you encourage the students to look back their progression and the achievements that could fetch to the society, the nations, as well as your institutions? So, friend, there are issues, and I'm telling you, more than your degree educations, BA, BSc, BCom, what social engineering involvement we have. Your questions will come, what are the sustainable development goals? What is G20 and what for? What for the BRICS conferences are? What is WHO? What is UNDP? Why do we celebrate World Environment Day, Earth Day, Wetland Day? These are just not enough as the legends in the words, How do you protect your wetland? The mud flats are going, sand raising is happening, carbon is lost, biodiversity is lost. So these impacts, there's no point in saying that this has gone, this is gone, but getting you all into wherever you are in this country or abroad, getting this youth leadership, developing youth leadership, to handle the problem that not only this country, but the world is facing, the planet is facing. If you cannot still tell people after the COVID pandemic, what is the virus and the virus, how it can get destroyed with the solutions. One lecture by a teacher, now at least science teacher, every class, in a corona pandemic, how were advised to use soap and your sanitizer. So how the mechanism of killing the coronavirus SARS, how it was working, and that holds true for any virus which is just looming on our head. H3N2, it is still, we're talking about numbers are increasing now. All these viruses, how to keep yourself, protect yourself, keep them at the bay. And that is what I'm talking about. Right from the beginning, I said, the health issue, the environment, the toxicities, contaminations. So all these issues are very, very important, and therefore, as I had to engage another important program, I shall close here. Sorry, I did not prepare PowerPoint presentation, but with extempore, I could cover so many issues. I wish the organizers all the best, every delegate, the participant, to have a very successful conference. And please give something, the scholars, resource persons, to our young children, students from this underdeveloped area, and take home the experience of social engineering, that where you have been doing it, and take this education to those in our respective areas who need it, and that will serve the purpose of our efforts of establishing higher education institutions far apart from the urban areas to everywhere, to have the inclusive access to higher education. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. You have been present for this conference and graced us on this occasion. Sir, we all know that we are doing the best of the best through this college under your supervision, and that we are able to guidance ever since the establishment of this institution. As this institution has been established under your supervision and guidance, sir, you have highlighted the burning issues of all the disciplines, intersecting all the disciplines on this platform. And it is the time of all the stakeholders of higher education to introspect themselves on what you have said, reiteratingly, that we are associated with this tribal area of Vikramgarh Tehsil of Palghar district. So there are many burning issues which we can undertake the issues for the solution through various disciplines. Definitely, sir, we will work for that under your supervision. And it is our duty to express the sincere gratitude towards all the dignitaries present for the inaugural speech over here. So may I request Dr. P.D. Muske, sir, for the vote of propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. Over to Dr. Muske, sir.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible. Proceed, please.
So, hello, everyone. Good morning, one and all present here. Honorable keynote speaker, ex-pro VC, University of Mumbai, Dr. A.D. Sawant, sir. Honorable Chairman of the institution, Sri VC Patil, sir. Honorable MLA Vikramgarh, Sri Sunilji Busara, sir. Respected Principal and Chairman of the conference, Dr. Chetna Patil, ma'am, and all the participants. It is such an honor for me to get the opportunity to thank all the dignitaries. On behalf of the organizing committee of the International E-Conference and Arts, Commerce and Science College Onde, I would like to express my gratitude to our honorable keynote speaker, Dr. A.D. Sawant, sir, to take out time from his busy schedule and to grace the event. As a chemist, sir has covered many problems thoroughly, that is social welfare and engineering. Sir has taught about toxicity of metals, fertilizer issues, pesticides, lead poisoning, metal poisoning, solid waste management, and so many environmental issues. As a chemist, sir, I ensure you that we will in this region, we try to aware the students as well as we are aware about the farmers in this area. Thank you, sir, for inspiring and encouraging with us with your valuable words on this special day. Once again, thank you so much, sir. I extend my gratitude to the chairman and principal of the conference, Dr. Chetna Patil ma'am, for valuable support. I also thankful to the convener of the conference, Mr. S.M. Ingole sir, and organizing secretary, Mr. N.V. Mahale sir, and all the committee members on this occasion. I also thank all the participants for their active participation. Thank you once again. Over to you, Dr. Bansode sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, all the dignitaries joined with us on this virtual platform. Thank you. And a special thanks to my guru, Honorable Dr. Jagdish Patil sir from Danaji Nana Mahavidyalaya, Faizpur, Jalgaon, because his session is tomorrow. Nevertheless, he has taken his time out for our conference to join this inaugural session. Thank you so much, sir. And now, dear participant, we are going to start the first plenary session of this conference. In this conference, Mali sir, confirm please whether Dr. Aniket Mahapuri sir is joined with us, and
Yes, sir. He is joined with us.
He joined.
and chairperson of this session, Honorable Dr. Maheshan Neralkar sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
He
Yes,
has
sir.
also joined.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shall we start the first plenary session then?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Once again, yeah, I once again welcome you all to the first plenary session of this international conference organized by IPSC of our college. In this session, we have as the resource person for the session, Honorable Dr. Aniket Mahapuri, sir, from United Kingdom. And we have the chairperson of the session, Honorable Dr. Mahesh Neralkar, sir. Before we start this session, I would like to invite Professor Santosh Dhamani, sir, for the introduction of the guest over here. Over
Thank
to
you, sir.
Dhamani, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, one and all. It is my great pleasure to introduce the dynamic personality like Dr. Aniket Mahapuri, sir, who has joined with us as the resource person for the session first. In this 2-day interdisciplinary international e-conference in social science, sciences and commerce. Dr. Aniket Mahapuri lives in UK and it is 5:30 AM as per the local time. But first of all, I thank him for giving us his valuable time. He is working as the senior scientist in Signature Discovery, Nottingham City, UK. He has a vast experience of 11 years as a scientist. Sir completed his postdoctorate at Department of Chemistry and Chemical Biology, Harvard University, Cambridge. During postdoctoral studies in Harvard University, sir worked on total synthesis on helichronius, with most work being directed towards the synthesis and improvements to right-hand CAG structure of helicrodin and eribulin, synthesizing new structure analogues and testing their efficiency in terms of anti-cancer activity. Use of advanced NMR techniques to analyze products. Extensive knowledge and work on nickel chromium catalytes, Nozaki Hayana DC coupling. Sir has published a number of research papers in national and international conference. Sir currently working on oncology drug discovery program, ERK5 inhibitor, Theras PI3 K inhibitor by designing and synthesis of small molecules as a potential drug candidate in a highly dynamic, fast-paced contract research organization in collaboration with biologists. We aim to lead optimization resulting in preclinical developments of drugs. His reason is very hot. I cut short due to time constraint. Sir is going to talk on the topic advanced medical chemistry and introduction and beyond. Let's enjoy his thoughts. Thank you, all of you. Over to Dr. Bansode, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, we have the chairperson of this session, Honorable Dr. Mahesh Neralkar, sir. He is the professor of Department of Chemistry. South Street 223, Edison Lex, Brandeis University, Latham. And I may request Dr. Mahesh Neralkar, sir, to take over the virtual dais for the plenary session 1. Over to Dr. Neralkar, sir.
Thank you for your kind introduction. Just one correction. I'm not a professor. I'm just a postdoctoral researcher in Brandeis University.
Thank you, sir.
But thank you so much for your kind introduction. I invite Dr. Aniket Mahapure, sir, to present his work. He has an excellent career track record in synthetic chemist. He, as the previous speaker has introduced his work, but just for my duty as a chairperson of this session, Dr. Aniket has done his PhD from IISER Bhopal, and then he moved to the Harvard University as a postdoctoral researcher. And just before the pandemic, in November 2019, he moved to UK as an industrial career and in signature industry. Now he is working as a senior scientist there. I invite Dr. Aniket Mahapure to present his work, and please please present his work. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Over
you,
to- yes, sir.
Mahesh, and organizers. Thank you. Can I start with my presentation?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir. Yes, sir.
sure. Just share your screen.
All right, I'll share the screen then. Just give me a moment. Yeah, is the slides visible to everyone?
Yeah, it's
Yes, sir.
visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank the organizer and Professor Damoni sir for inviting me, and thanks to Dr. Mahesh for introducing me. So what the aim, in the beginning, Dr. Samant sir talked about the challenges in the rural areas. So what will be the takeaway from my lecture? So what I would like to tell the listeners, don't take this lecture as a lecture or something like that. So try to learn more and try to understand more. So because in India we don't have much developed the medicinal chemistry programs. They are there, but they are still developing. So what I aim to at the end of this lecture is the young people like you, they strive and come forward and learn more about the medicinal chemistry and take the Indian medicinal chemistry to a higher heights where we want to be in future, and we want to be a collaborative environment, which is unfortunately not at the moment in India because of some other issues which I'm not covering here. So what you want to learn at the end of the day is like, there are some concepts in the medicinal chemistry, and don't worry if you don't understand anything, because no one is clever to understand all this kind of the molecular or cellular processes that takes place at very complex level in our body. So just buckle it tight, and I'll try to do my best. So everyone is with me still, and let me know if you're able to hear me. Yeah, just a confirmation. Yeah, everyone is listening. They are still with me.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
you're audible.
All right, good.
Yes,
So,
sir. Yes.
yeah, so it's a very good morning. It's a little earlier time in UK. I don't know what's the time for Dr. Mahesh there. Maybe a 5 hours before. Is it 12 o'clock or
It's
something
just
like
1:30. Just
okay, I remember my Boston stay. So anyway, yeah. So I mean, I would like to begin a story because everybody likes stories. My daughter likes stories, so I would like to introduce a story in the beginning, so that it will be interesting to get into the details. So even talking in terms of drug discovery and its process, so it's a big business, big industry. You have realized that in terms of your the COVID pandemic recently came, the most of the industry, they were concentrated developing the vaccine as early as possible, and a huge amount of money was involved in it. Particularly the cheerleaders here in UK were AstraZeneca and Moderna in Boston, where the Dr. Mahesh is situated. So what's the fuss about? Why do we need a total drug discovery process and its regulation? So this history goes back in 1954. So at that time there weren't much regulation for the drugs when they are used on the humans. So in 1954 in Germany, so there is a company called Chemie Gruntel. So they were aiming to design a low-cost method production for the antibiotics. They're made from the peptides. So what are the peptides? So peptides, they make up the protein molecules in the body, which are particularly the workhorses. So I mean, I don't know, the audience is familiar with the central dogma of molecular biology. So what's the central dogma of molecular biology? It's quite heavy word. Don't go on to that one. But the thing is, like, our genetic material is DNA, and DNA it carries our genetic information, and whenever we require to synthesize a protein, so it is translated into RNA, and then messenger RNA goes in from the cell to a particular site of interest, and it is expressed into a protein. And the proteins are majorly the workhorses in our body, which carries out the different type of works. So for example, if you have lungs, and then you have a particular protein in the lungs which have carried out the job of taking oxygen in and then inhaling out of the carbon dioxide. So they are the usually most of the workhorses are the proteins. And the proteins are made up from the building blocks of the amino acids, so which are the basic building blocks of the life. And with the proteins or the peptides, particularly, we know they are there. Some hydrophobic and hydrophilic pockets are there. So this is just an overview or background to the peptides. So they were in that story. They were trying to patent alpha thalidomide, or which is also known as thalidomide. And this whole story is known as a thalidomide tragedy. So they were, at that instant, they were unable to demonstrate the antibiotic activity or medicinal effect or the sedative effect in particularly in mice or rats. So failed on the animal model, the company gave up, and the another company picked up this molecule. So and in the beginning of their study, they did not find any fatal or any other side effects detected in the animal testing. So what they thought, that they should go on to use this thalidomide drug into the pregnant women which have a morning sickness. So as you know that all pregnant ladies, they get the morning sickness or emetic motion in the beginning of the morning. So that's why it's called as a morning sickness. So they decided to administer this mixture of this enantiomers of this particular thalidomide. And as you see on the right-hand structure of this one thalidomide, let me get my pointer out. Sorry. Are you able to see a red dot on the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so these are the two particularly structure here I'm highlighting. Here, one is the R enantiomer and S enantiomer. So the student in the TYBSc will be able to recognize that's a nomenclature for defining this stereo center at this step. So particularly the first stereo isomer of the R isomer acts as a sedative. It means like it induces a sleep, and it works. Which incorporates into the forebrain and induces the sleep. And the receptor, I will talk in a moment about the receptor, what receptors are. So basically, receptor is like when some small molecule binds to a particular protein in a particular cavity, and it induces the downstream responses. And in this case, is this the sleep? As you know, all of the psychiatric disorders, they use this kind of sedative medicines. And the other isomer, which is S, which is potentially inhibits the releases of the alpha tumor necrosis factor. So necrosis is just means like cell death, but that I'm not delving into details of that one. So this S1 isomer is found to be a detrimental and teratogen. So what is teratogen? Teratogen introduces a birth defects in an unborn child. So suppose if a woman is pregnant, and if you give something like which is a medicine or something else which she goes into her body and crosses the placental barrier, and then it introduces the deformities into the unborn child. So that's why the medicine here in UK or other parts of the world such as USA, they are very strictly controlled because they can introduce birth deformities. So unfortunately, this S isomer was a teratogen. And what happens in a body? Body, our liver is mostly responsible for digesting or converting these molecules. And then, as you can see, this chiral center is next to a carbonyl carbon, and which can be an acidic proton, and which can be easily racemized in vivo. So are the viewers are they familiar with the in vivo or vitro? I will explain in a minute. So vitreous means glass, and in vivo means like in live animal models. So when we perform the research, there are two things we can do in the beginning. So we can do the experiment without the animal model, that is called as in vitro. And but with the animal models such as HEK cells in a mouse, something like that. So when we call as in vivo. So when our body gets this molecule and it converts these two isomer into, they are interconverting to each other. And even if you administer this is the R as a single enantiomer, that will racemize to the S isomer, and that will introduce a birth deformity in the unborn child. So there's a one interesting story behind this one. So when this molecule got approval in the Europe, and the people, they don't know this is safe for the pregnant ladies, and it has been administered to the pregnant ladies. Am I too fast, or should I go slow? Hello, Santosh sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
You're audible,
No,
sir.
so you go ahead. It's good. You're in flow.
Okay. So the thing is whenever the regulation were not controlled in Germany and the UK, and there was another interesting development was happening at the UK and USA and Canada. So what happened in the beginning? The pregnant ladies this take medication, and it introduces a teratogenic effects, and the child were born without the limbs, which in a minute I will show the picture in the next slide. And when this molecule come to an approval in USA, so that time USA just began to form an FDA, the Food and Drug Regulatory Authority. So there was a lady called Frances, and she has a PhD in pharmacology from University of Michigan, and she saw this molecule coming to an approval, and she was the head of the FDA, and she said, no, I can't approve this medicine because I need more data. And how she knows? Because she needed more data, because she's done her PhD in pharmacology and she was working in the University of Michigan with her husband, and she knew that by research, some of the medicine they crosses the placental barrier. So what is the placental barrier? Is like when a lady is pregnant with the baby girl or boy. So there is a barrier which separates the mothers and the baby, and which is a kind of protective to the baby's development and growth. But some medicine, unfortunately, that time they pass to the placental barrier, and they will introduce the infirmities in there. And she withheld the approval despite of the pressure, and after that the toxic effect of this molecule was demonstrated. She was awarded with a US's highest honor in order to saving the people from the tragedy itself. I'm trying to switch on the next slide. Give me a moment. Yeah. Can you see the next slide now?
Yes, sir. It is.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the right hand side. You can see it's a baby born with some deformities. You see there are no limbs and legs here, and so because of this medicine was prescribed in the morning sickness for the pregnant ladies based on the falsified safety data. So what's the result? There are like 10,000 to 12,000 thalidomide babies were born entire the Europe, and there are like almost 46 affected countries, and that leads to a increase litigation, and this led to a disrupted families, divorce, and all that stuff. So we don't want to happen that in the future, isn't it? So that's why the whole process of drug discovery, the point I was explaining to get into that one, the process of drug discovery is very tightly controlled in these days, because you have to demonstrate the safety and efficacy, safety as well as efficacy of that medicine before they go into the market. So what's a typical drug discovery process is consisting of? So here I'm just showing you one slide. So don't worry about it too much if you don't understand too much because it's a very lengthy procedure. A drug discovery process takes almost 10 to 12 years to get to a drug. That's why the drug discovery is a very costly business, and the medicine which you develop, and then when you take a pill such as like penicillin or maybe a paracetamol or ibuprofen, and there is a very interesting story behind that. And just to let you know that the ibuprofen where I'm working in here, Nottingham, in these labs, the ibuprofen was discovered. So it's a very good place for the drug discovery. So the first step I would like to talk about is the target identification, and then I will go through briefly into the whole process, and then I'll explain, try to explain what are the stages out here. So one is the target identification, and HTS stands for high throughput screening. And then you have an active hit to lead a campaign, so where you find active molecules from the HTS, and they would take you to a desired hit molecule. And then after the hit, you need to transform into a lead candidate. And then based upon the animal data, you modify your lead candidate, and this is called as a lead optimization. And then it will deliver a candidate, a drug candidate, and it will almost, and you see the timelines there. So the timeline almost takes sometimes, if it is simplified, it's like 4 to 5 years. But if it is not that simple, it may take 10 years, or some drug discovery programs I've been on to, that takes more than 10 years. So as you know that, because why this takes so much time, because the safety and regulation associated with that. So I'll go by one. So what's the target identification? So as I talked in the beginning, you have a like particular protein in the body which is carries out the different work, and sometimes in diseases. So what's a disease? Disease. So when you are not easy, it is called as disease. So the some of the parts in the body, like such as protein or some of the other receptors, they are implicated in the particular diseases. For example, if you have a pain or inflammation, there are GPCRs or G-coupled protein receptor, which I will talk in the next half of the talk. So they are associated with these kind of diseases or inflammation. So you need to identify a pathway, biological pathway, to get to the bottom of the disease. And once you understand that the target identification, so you know that when you inhibit or halt that process, you will be able to get rid of the disease. So then what you do is a high throughput screening. And what high throughput screening does is, I think there are some biological assays or biophysics assays. I think Dr. Mahesh is working on surface plasmon resonance, isn't it, Dr. Mahesh?
Yes, I do.
Yes. So there are some biophysical assays such as SPR, or a microchip thermal assay or thermal assay, or maybe in our project we use a rapid fire mass spec assay. So what these we have a primary assay. So what is assay does? Once we have a protein which is immobilized on the chip, and then you try to introduce a small molecules onto that and see a corresponding changes. And if you see the changes, then you know that your molecule is particularly active. So high throughput screening, it does this thing on a very bulk scale, maybe 100,000 molecule or 1 lakh molecule, something like that. And then you get initial hits. But when you get the initial hits from the HTS, they directly come to us as a medicinal chemist. So what is our job as a medicinal chemist? To validate those hits. So what's the validation? So from the high throughput screening, you get the bunch of molecules, but sometimes they are not active, or they are falsified, false actives, which is called as sometimes false hits. So you have to resynthesize them in a very pure quantity, and again rescreen them in the different assays in order to confirm their activity. So once you confirm those activity, ideally everything goes right, then you get a active molecule. From active molecule, then you're trying to introduce a structure activity relationship, SAR, which is called as a structure activity relationship. And then after that, once you establish all that, you need to transform that into a lead candidate. And based upon the animal data or the DMPK data, you will transform that lead into a lead optimization program, and that will lead to a drug candidate, hopefully. So there are some concepts which I would like to introduce for the biological mechanisms. I can hear some background noise. If someone is not muted, which is, yeah.
Dear participant, mute yourself, please.
So the taxonomy, or like what's the taxonomy? It's a heavy word for the nomenclature of the biological mechanisms. So in vivo effectors. So if he's, I told in the beginning, in vivo, what is in vivo and vitro? So vitreous means glass, in vivo means live animal models. So what is live animal? Like human being, or maybe a mouse or something, which is live animals. And then there are receptors and the enzymes, ion channels, and then there is a protein interaction. So I will try to explain them one by one. So first is the receptor. So what is a receptor? So by the name it means a reception, or someone is in the reception. Does the job of taking someone in. So for example, if you have like protein, and then there are some receptors on that one. So the receptor which takes a small molecule or signaling molecule they incorporate, and it will engage the molecule to a particular binding site, and it will engage, it will affect the downstream response in the animal. Or for example, if somebody is taking the sedative medicine, So they're gonna go and bind to the acetylcholine or somewhere in the receptor where all the sleep-inducing factors in the brain, and that it will introduce a sleep or in the model, in the animal. And then there are some terms I would like to introduce this term, but don't worry too much if you don't understand them, because they are quite technical terms. But still, I have to go through this because most of the classes of these medicinal chemistry, they rely on this classification. So one is agonist and antagonist. So the professors from the English background, they would have recognized this word antagonist. So antagonist means an enemy, isn't it? So agonist, what does agonist does? So they bind to a particular site, active site, where they binds and engages the downstream response. So they are called as agonist. And by the name and nomenclature, antagonist, they still bind to the receptor, but they do not induces the downstream response. And the third one is the partial agonist. So partial agonist does the same job as agonist, but it is a partial. That's why they induces only partial response to that. And the other one is inverse agonist. So this is quite technical, but I'll try to explain with the example. So agonist. So for example, if you have agonist and this job is to induce a sleep. So what inverse inverse agonist will do that, it will induce a wakefulness. For example, coffee. When you take the coffee, it binds in a region and destroys one molecule, and which introduces the sleep. So the agonist, inverse agonist is the same molecule like agonist, but it will trigger an opposite effect to that of agonist. And the enzymes. So enzymes, they are particularly important in the body because enzymes are nothing but the protein molecules or the catalysis of the bodies, which catalyzes the particular oxidases or reductases, a particular reaction, which is very hard to do by chemically. Now our body does that very cleverly. And then there are some ion channels. I was talking about in the beginning about some ion channels in the lungs because they need to drive out the potassium through the body. And there are ion channels in our kidney as well. And there are like so many ion channels in the body. And lastly, I was talking about the protein-protein interaction. So which is recently gone up in the market about the protein-protein interaction is about PROTACs. They are called as proteolysis degrading chimeras, or also know the other one avenue is opening is the molecular glues. So I'll try to explain them by more example and more the chemical structures. So here are everybody able to see the structures of these molecules, blockbuster drugs?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
it is.
yes.
Good. So there are some examples of these recently marketed drugs which have a very big cell. So they, like for example, the first one is a HMG coacetyl inhibitor, which is also known as a Lipitor, which is synthesized by Pfizer and synthesized and marketed by Pfizer, which is given for a patient of having a high cholesterol. And the next is the Nexium. This is a proton pump inhibitor, and that is also given for the patient have the hyperacidities. And the next one is a Plavix, which is antiplatelet. So what's an antiplatelet? So it prevents the coagulation of the blood. So sometimes when we have a surgery on a heart patient, and they have tendency to coagulate their blood, and then it can be dangerous for their well-being. So sometimes these antiplatelets are introduced, which are developed for the thrombosis. So BMS or Sanofi Aventis has developed this, and as you can see, the sales are all in billion, and you know that they are all blockbuster drugs. And last one, I was talking about, the calcium channel blocker, so which was prescribed for the hypertension. And you can see in the first class, the Lipitor works on enzyme. Then the other one, the Nexium also works on enzyme, and the Plavix, which works on the receptor classes, and the last one is the ion channel. So these are the classes that I was talking about: enzyme, and receptor, and ion channel. So you have particular drugs which are targeted at the different avenues of the biological responses what you generate from them. So they were identified and then they were targeted to cure of this disease. And then you see, I just given a pie chart on in the biological mechanisms, and until 2005, there are top 50 drugs that were marketed by worldwide sales. And you can see a receptor antagonist has a 24% of share, an enzyme inhibitor has a like 38% almost, whopping, and then miscellaneous they come like 8%, or receptor agonist, biological, and ion channel modulators they come around 8%. So as you can see, ion channel modulators are not being particularly targeted. So in future, some of you could become a scientist and then work on those ones. So as far as I know, the Vortex, they're working on the cystic fibrosis on this one, and which is also based on ion channel inhibitor here in UK. Yeah, are you able to see the slide of the enzyme function?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Sir.
good.
Yes, sir.
So what you're seeing on this slide is a biological catalyst. So the student of the chemistry or anyone would be familiar with the concept of the catalyst. So what catalysis does? So catalysis it doesn't do anything by itself, but it lowers the energy, transition state energy, to form a particular reactant. On the left hand side, you see starting materials. They begin with the energy, and the product that has energy which is below than the starting material, and then they have to go to reach a transition state, and from transition state you go to products. So there is a barrier of this free energy to climb over, and what a catalyst does, when it lowers the transition state catalysis, and that means, in other simple words, it facilitates the flow of the starting material to the product, or it will accelerate the rate of reaction. So when enzyme binds to a substrate, it forms an enzyme substrate complex, and then in that enzyme substrate complex leads to the product. So our body is very clever. They have the enzymes, a lot of enzymes which will do their job, such as like one is showing is in here in inos or nitric oxide generator. So the amino acid you see is an arginine there, and when this is oxidized, it generates a nitric oxide and citrullinaline as a side product. And that's the nitric oxide. It acts as a vasodilator, which prevents your coronary arteries to being clogged from. And if your drugs bind to the site of activity, like which is more main site, this is called as orthosteric. And if it is not binding to the site of activity there, which is responsible for the downstream effect, this is also called as allosteric. So there are four mechanistic categories of the enzyme inhibition. So there is one is a competitive. So from name itself, evident that the inhibitor binds reversibly, and the binding sometimes can be reversible, and such as and binding can not be also reversible. So which is also called as covalent inhibitors. So what you take is the the paracetamol, which is a covalent inhibitor, because it forms a covalent bond with the cysteine present in our protein. So what happens when you take a paracetamol? It binds, it transfers an acetyl group on a cysteine of a particular protein, which is responsible for the pain and inflammation, and it prevents it's further sending the signals down the body, and that's why you get rid of the fever and any inflammation present in our body when you take the paracetamol or ibuprofen in your body. And the uncompetitive inhibition is like inhibitor binds only the enzyme substrate complex and leading to EIS intermediates, and this is very rare. And the other one is the non-competitive inhibitors. So I was talking about the allosteric inhibition, so which is not at the site of the active site, and the kinetics are complex. I'm not going to go into that one. So just trying to and don't worry about if you don't remember anything about this one. And they are very complex biological processes. Nobody understands them in very depth. And as you remember, like if someone has taken amoxicillin or penicillin in the past, so they might remember because amoxicillin is administered with a clavulanic acid. If you see that, and so what's the reason? So there is irreversible the concept of irreversible inhibition. So these inhibitors, they bind covalently to the active site machinery, and they are also called as sacrificial or suicidal inhibitors. So we have here monoamинase oxidase inhibitors and beta lactamase inhibitor. So what does that do? So when you administer those with the clavulanic acid, so the amoxicillin itself is digested by the virus, and when you administer them with the clavulanic acid, they are not able to digest those because they will react with the virus, and they will not able to do virus to degrade it to further. And then again, there are classes such as proteases. So proteases means like it hydrolyzes the peptide amide bonds. So then there are like terminal residues called as exopeptidase, and the other one is the endopeptidase, depending upon what they catalyzes in the bond fission in the body. And what's the significance of those? So that they will do their hydrolysis job in a particular acid or amino acid site, and that will trigger a response. And then there are, depending upon amino acids, so there are 4 mechanistic classes, which is one with the serine with the alcohol in it, the cysteine with the thiol in it, and then aspartic and the zinc, so which is the metal ones. So at the moment, what I'm working on the discovery program which has a zinc or endo or exopeptidase protease class of inhibition. And what's the specificity of those proteases they work? They were determined by the binding site of the substrate of amino acid, and that side chains near the clave site. And then depending upon the nomenclature, you have a cleavage site there. So that's the particular paper which describes this, the specificity pocket nomenclature. And as you know, that the peptides, they are, I mean, this is a 2-dimensional representation. They are really three-dimensional molecules, and they generate a hydrophilic and hydrophobic pocket in the particular region or the like protein region. So what is protein? So protein is a 3-dimensional and quaternary structure of these peptides. They were stacked on lateral and on overside of each other. So they will generate a particular 3-dimensional structure. And then the endopeptidase, they will cleave, they will make a nucleophilic attack. And it's very hard to remove those or hydrolyze these peptide bonds in a normal context, but the enzymes such as protease, they will easily can do this job, and they are very specific at doing that job. So as you can see, there are some pockets which are depicted here, like S prime, 2 prime. So don't worry about nomenclature too much. So the thing is, like, they have the particular pockets, and then you have 1 prime end and non-prime end to the other side. So then there are some like serine proteases such as thrombin, like tryptase or beta lactamase. So what's a beta lactam, or is it just penicillin is a very special example of the beta lactamase. So this you can see there is, I told you, like these are the mechanisms in the body carries out very cleverly. So it generates a catalytic triad, and it just puts a serine nucleophilicity. So you can see a hydrogen bonding histidine is there, and then it's attached to aspartate, and which is again in turn forms a hydrogen bonding with the serine's alcohol, and which will increase the nucleophilicity of this serine end of the molecule. And there is an oxyanion hole in the, which is like arginine or lysine rich, which has the nitrogen at the end of the amino acid. And then what's the P1 is a primary activity site there, and the inhibitors They are also called as transition state mimics if they are tetrahedral and they're trying to make intermediates. So they are also maybe a beta lactams, trifluoromethyl ketones, or saccharines. So yeah. And then depending upon their biological mechanism, so there are 50 drugs by wild cells. So there are some receptor antagonist and enzyme inhibitor, ion channel modulator, and receptor antagonist by different percentages. And then again, I was talking about the receptor in the beginning. So the receptor, what are receptors? So receptors are membrane-bound proteins. So protein, what is protein? Protein is made up from the amino acids, and they bond together to each, like peptides, basically, and that they bind endogenous ligands to induce a particular physiological effect. And a receptor is a very first step in the long intracellular signaling cascade. I mean, like if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, if you have like 4 signaling pathway, or maybe you start 1 and then 2, then 3, and then 4, it's like that. And then the very prominent example is a G protein coupled, or also known as GPR, or also known as 7 transmembrane. Why it's called a 7 transmembrane? Because they have 7 transmembrane spanning receptors, and particularly these have been targeted in drug discovery because they are implicated in the pain and inflammation. And mostly the world is combating with the pain and inflammation. Maybe sometimes we have inflammation or pain in the tooth, in the leg, or anywhere part of the body. So they are like targeted for that one. And then this is the diagrammatic representation of these GPCR membrane, which has an extracellular and intracellular the pathway there, and depending upon the particular GPCRs there. And then he's here. I'm just showing alpha adrenoreceptors diagram. I'm not delving into details, but you can see there are one single amino acid layers code there, and then you have a cell membrane here, and then they are transversely associated with the 7 membrane with the this is a very complex mechanism, but which has intracellular loops, and then they have the signaling which takes place. But some molecule binds to the N terminus, and then it will trigger a response at the C terminus. Sometimes, like if you I'm not at the moment, I'm talking to you from internet and from the different part of the world, and Dr. Mahesh is also joining from the other part of the world. So we are all like signaling each other and then coming together. So it's just like a complex procedure like that. So when you trigger a response from N terminus to C terminus, and then it will generate a particular response. And then there are some binding receptors. So it's just like ground state receptor, and then you have excited state receptor. So ligands can be the proteins, peptides, or small molecules which can bind to a particular protein of interest, and then it will invoke a particular response. So an agonist and antagonist, I think I already talked about that. I'm not going to go into detail of that one. So agonist, it binds and then provokes a signal from the receptor or the conformational changes in the excited state. An antagonist, it does bind to the receptor and induces no signal, and it blocks against the binding, and there is a little conformational change related to overall. So then there are like endogenous and agonist, and they can often bind weakly, so which is enthalpy driven. And then successful antagonists are often bind tightly or entropy driven. So they can bind competitively and differently, and like there might be some things you have to understand before targeting them in a drug discovery. So that there is a line between agonist and antagonist, and the partial agonist sits in where middle, somewhere in the middle, and then you have inverse agonist and then inverse partial agonist. And then again, there are some classification based upon that one. So this is just pie chart. I mean, it's just a depiction of that whatever they are targeted in the drug discovery. So, and then lastly, I would like to talk about the ion channels. These ion channels usually, particularly, they operate on a less than 1 volt in the body, and the potential is like 6 to 70 millivolts in the body. And they what they does in the body is just they regulate the passive ion flow through the membranes in an electric or concentration gradient. So what is concentration gradient? Is like you have more concentration on one side and the other concentration on the other side. Sometimes you have to go against the nature and force the ion through against the concentration gradient. These I was talking about the molecules, or sorry, the vortex, which is works on the cystic fibrosis, which they works on these ion channels in the lungs. So they are ion selective, and they have like a complex structure, which I'm not going to go into detail, but they don't have any open rest state in the body, and they will trigger. And these channels are why to study these channels, because they are involved in the cardiac, neuronal, or psychiatric disorders. So once we know what's the problem with the disorders, we can target them. And which ions particularly the targets is the sodium, potassium, or calcium, or maybe chlorine. So with the calcium is like, I shown in the beginning the structure of this antihypertensive drug. They target these calcium ones. And then there is one channel which is also called as HERG, which is cardiac channel. And as in the first slide, I talk about drug safety. This is also important, because if your drug interact with the HERG channel, and it can lead to a sudden cardiac arrest, and it can result in a death of patient. So we don't want to happen with that. So we have to also screen the drug molecules for this HERG channel. And then there are classification of those channels. It's like based upon voltage or ligand gated. So the ligands can be like small molecules, toxins. These are tetrodotoxins. So I work in my postdocs, one of the toxins there. And there are some like antihypertensive drugs. They are emerged from the calcium channel. I was talking on the last slide. So there are amlodipine. I think most of the people have heard that in India, because it works on the antihypertensive drugs. And I think that's it all, I think, from my side. If any question, I'll be up to them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Dear participant, I invite the questions, if any, on behalf of the chairperson of this session.
Great talk, sir. Like it's a nice introductions. Thank you for sharing your research experience with the students. Thank you. But anyone has questions, please feel free to ask the questions.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to. I mean, I know sometimes people like I know myself. Sometimes when I used to have a guest lecture, and I will be overwhelmed by the knowledge of the people who are talking about. So don't worry. I'm also started my career as like you guys, and if you don't understand some of the slides, don't worry about it. The things will fall in place. And if you have some question, just feel free to ask.
So if there are no questions, like let's
Sir.
thanks to
Hello.
Dr. Aniket.
Yes, sir. Somebody is there, sir.
Oh, okay.
Sir, I Dr. P.T. Muske. Sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
That in Corona pandemic, in
Yeah.
India, mostly remdesivir is used. So that is useful or not?
Yeah, remdesivir. Yeah.
And many cases are there now that many people die with the heart attack nowadays in India. So what is the connection between that remdesivir and heart attack?
Okay. To be honest, I will explain with the remdesivir first. So what I've heard from here, the diaspora from drug discovery people here. So remdesivir is not very effective against the replication of the virus. So that was the dire need, because people don't have anything to give. So that's why our government used a emergency approval for that. That also happened somewhere, which unfortunately shouldn't have happened. But heart attack, I am skeptical to comment on that, because there is, if you are linking two things, then you have to have a data for that. So, but the problem with that's what I said, from India, what we need, you need to have a more DMPK data, or like more data to generate, like if you are saying to associate the two things together, and which that might be or that might not be, but we need to associate the link between those, and then we have to have the proof for those data. So that's how science works. We need to have a data, and then we can say conclusively that these two things are related to each other. So at the moment, it will be hard to say that these two things are linked together, because even in Asian diaspora, there is a substantial population which gets the heart attack. Even like here in UK, the people from Asian background, they die by heart attack. They never are taken the remdesivir. So it's very hard to comment on that one.
Sir, one more disease called as avascular necrosis,
Yeah.
which is common in COVID
I think
patients.
someone from your you are in some hall and there are two speakers. Just mute one of them so we can listen you properly.
Okay, sir. Okay. Can you hear this?
Yeah.
Yes,
Can
sir,
you hear
yes,
me,
sir.
sir?
You proceed.
Aniket, sir.
Yeah.
You're
Listening.
audible, sir.
Unmute.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you
Yes,
speak.
Mahali sir, you go ahead.
Yes, sir. One more common disease, sir, in the COVID patients after 1.5 year, called as avascular necrosis of joints, more accurately, which is common in COVID patient. What is the relation between that?
Well, for the
Can you tell me, sir?
Yeah, so the necrosis, I mean, what I'm thinking is, so there are two things, whatever the virus is induced here all over the world. Some people get the long COVID, and then here our director of the drug discovery, he has the long COVID, and he has a lower blood pressure because of that. So there are some effects with the virus which are associated, which we do not understand currently.
Unknown
But the
etiology.
necrosis,
That is called unknown etiology.
yeah. So the thing is that it's very hard to say if you have a necrosis or cell death by some mechanism, because even the evolution. So there are some factors. Sometimes when they go wrong in the evolution, they can induce the trigger in the generation of the like particular induces effect, which will induce a cell necrosis. It's very, again, I said the same thing. It's very hard to comment on the two relation, because we need to have data on those ones.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Recently, I gone through my relative, and he is diagnosed with AVM of hip.
Okay.
Stage 2. That was stage 2.
Oh, sorry.
There is no treatment to cure that disease. So we have chance, sir, like you.
I mean, yeah, the thing is, that's what I said. Like in India, it's drug discovery is a collaborative effect. So maybe
Yes.
some people like from India, like you, they might come forward, or me, or someone else. So when we form a
Yes.
team, and then we can do something else, some good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Definitely.
Thank you. Sir.
So anyone next one? So we have a couple of minutes. If anyone has question. Oh, so with that, I would like to say a big thank to Dr. Aniket sir, for giving a very good lecture and very informative keynote, informations and all things, sharing his experience. And with that, I'm very thank you for joining this session from the UK. And thank you for attending, all you guys and the
thanks
professors.
to all of you who are present here, and thanks.
So I look forward to the organizers. Please continue the next event.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, may I request you to have the expert comment on this lecture and your experience over there, which is useful, which would be useful for our students, because students also are with us on this platform. So
yeah, Dr. Aniket has explained from the basic to the advanced one, how the process is in drug discovery. He has explained very nicely, and I also agree with him. Like without any data, there is no conclusions. Like we never get to conclusion without data until there is a good data which is scientifically proven. And like based on the news article or our opinion, we don't conclude anything. We need a data to say something. So that's why like maybe electronic sir is also is saying the same thing. Like without data, we cannot say or we cannot give our remark on that topic. So we need a data for any opinion or anything to this
Yeah,
one.
yes. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Thank you, the research person, Honorable Dr. Aniket Mahapuri, sir, as well as the chairperson of this session, Honorable Dr. Mahesh Nerulkar, sir, for joining with us on this virtual platform for the
Thank you for
international.
giving me an opportunity to
It's our great
host
pleasure,
the
sir, to have.
chairperson.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's our great pleasure to have the personalities like you, sir, and Mahapuri, sir, and you. And so it is our duty and privilege to extend our gratitude towards the resource person and the chairperson of this session as well. So may I request Dr. P.D. Maske, sir, for the vote of thanks of this session one. Over to Maske, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, welcome, sir. Proceed, sir, please.
Good noon. Good noon. It is such an honor for me to get the opportunity to thank you all the dignitaries. On behalf of the Arts, Commerce and Science College Onde, I extend a warm welcome to the people in the gathering. I am here to propose vote of thanks as it is our duty and privilege to express gratitude towards the resource person and the chairperson of the session on this occasion. I, on behalf of the organizing committee, extend my sincere thanks to the resource person of this session, Dr. Aniket Mahapuri, sir, for being present and enriching our knowledge with his expertise in the field of advanced medicinal chemistry. I am also thankful to the chairperson of the session, Dr. Mahesh Nerulkar, sir, for joining with us on this virtual platform and the expert remark on this occasion. Thank you all once again. Thank you. Over to
Thank you so
Dr.
much.
Bansode, sir.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure joining you, Mahesh, Santosh, and other professors, dignitaries present here. As a very nice. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. And now, dear participants, we are going to start the second plenary session of this conference, day one. We will just a minute, please.